Christina and Aman from Our Rich Journey are yet another example of the creator economy in motion. In today's video, we're going to be digging into their best side hustle, which is their YouTube channel. We're going to take a look at their SEO approach to YouTube before then exploring how they're monetizing their channel to make a living as part of the creator economy. By the end of this video, you'll hopefully learn a thing or two as well that you can use for your own side hustle or passion project. Digging right in, we first have to look at who exactly we're taking a look at today, which is Our Rich Journey. At a high level, they have 573,000 subscribers and 219 videos created. These guys are some of the OGs of the personal finance space in YouTube. They were at this years ago before personal finance even became a relevant niche on YouTube. And that's part of the point of their success too. At that point in time, they've shared several times how they created videos when it wasn't even popular to talk about all these different financial topics. And so what you'll see is that when you go into their channel and you sort by their oldest content, you can see that their oldest content is covering some core conceptual things around finance. Things like how they saved thousands of dollars for their vacation, how they explain mutual funds in a minute, how to invest in real estate. And you'll notice that all of this is educational content. So the first thing you can take away from the Our Rich Journey channel is that if you just focus on how-to content, it can be a great way to start the base of your content. If I just search for the phrase how, you can see how there are tons of videos that even today essentially still cover some sort of how-to content around financial literacy and things like that. And so what Our Rich Journey quickly figured out was that people really want to learn how. They want to go on YouTube and learn these different concepts, and that they could be a channel for people to turn to learn these particular topics. The other thing that you'll notice is that over time, they started to double down on content that they knew was more successful than others. You'll see as we start to dig into this channel from 3 years ago that certain topics really started to resonate with viewers. For example, passive income was a big one. And you can see this one had 368,000 views, but also saving large amounts of money also was another one, in that this one had 412,000 views. And they took this approach to then hone in on the sort of content that they would create later on. And you can see that today because as you start to look at some of their videos in the last year or so, you can see that they are talking about a lot of the same sort of core concepts. Why you should quit your job now, that's very topical to right now. Why they're investing $50,000 in these 5 stocks and things like that. All these sorts of things are things that they probably tested over time and realized that people really cared about their journey because they were two 40-something-year-olds that retired early. And then from here, they're actually talking about how they're doing that particular thing. So even today with their new content, you can see that it's not as much about how content, it's now more around their story because they've already established their core viewership, but the core principles that they are teaching and things like that are still related to some of the trending topics that they had earlier on. So the second takeaway for you is that once you find something that works really well, what you should think about is how you can adapt that particular piece of content to then create mirroring content or similar thought pattern content that essentially will intrigue the viewers of your content, whether that's on your blog, your YouTube channel, your business, your Instagram, and things like that. Another key lesson that we can learn from Our Rich Journey is that consistency matters. Whether it's on YouTube or any other platform out there, being consistent is the key to having snowball effects of compounding. And you can see this when you take a look at their key stats on their channel. In the last month, they've published 4 videos or 1 video every single week, and they've been consistent on this publishing calendar for some time. When I changed it to 3 months, you can see how they've published 13 videos in that time period. So it's really clear that to them, what works for them is a video every single week for their viewership. It's much easier for a larger creator like them to just create 1 video a week and still be able to see some form of success. But essentially what you can see here is that this continues to feed their content snowball. They've got several hundred videos at this point, and in the last 3 months, they've had 2 million views. The next thing that we can take a look at though, is we can take a look at how exactly they've been monetizing their channel. And this is something new because I've actually been a long-time viewer of their channel. I love their content. I think it's really educational. And what I noticed was that they started to sell different courses and offerings. So the first thing they explored was selling a workbook. And this was their very first product. It's essentially a low-cost, low-ticket offering for people to enter their product space and become a paying customer of theirs. Now, if you watched my recent video where I covered the Money Guy show and how they're monetizing, you'll know that this is analogous to their low ticket offer around the net worth calculator tool. In this situation, Our Rich Journey has created a workbook that's $20, and with that, you get this workbook that you can use to help you calculate different things related to what their channel talks about. And from here, you have a pretty standard landing page, but the key thing that you should take away from this is that there is a low ticket offering from Our Rich Journey for people to become paying customers of their particular product line. The next thing that you'll notice though is at the top, they have some other courses that they've also started to pitch. And one of them is the Move to Portugal course. So in this situation, they are relating back to their own core story, which is they are two US expats that have essentially moved to Portugal to live an early retirement lifestyle. And so what you can see here is that this course is a 4-hour course where they are teaching people how to do the same thing. And the price for this course is $300. And with something like this is a very niche course, but it's really specific, and I like how it's positioned because in the last few years, with the growth of financial literacy or the interest in financial literacy and things like that, there's been a lot more US-based people that are thinking about moving to Portugal. And so this is something that they're able to take advantage of as people that have actually done that and have the story as well as the following to really lean into monetizing that story. So in this situation, this is also a great form of monetization because it's a different format. It's a higher ticket offer in which people are paying around $300, which if you think about that, $300 for 4 hours, that's paying about $133 per hour of content. And so overall, it's still a pretty reasonable course for the overall topic here, since they are really talking about a very important topic, which is completely relocating the place that you live. And then if we go back into their site as well, you'll see that they have some other courses like their Fire Mastery course, as well as their investing course. And so when we go into this, you can see their master classes here. Again, 4-hour course. As we scroll down, we can see that the price for this course is lower ticket. It's $175. But what you should hopefully be taking away from this is that they've clearly thought through what exactly does our audience care about a lot. In this case, their audience cares a lot about the stock market, they care a lot about the FIRE movement, they care about these sorts of topics. And so this is what they're creating with these sorts of offerings. They're creating different ways for people to learn more in depth than what they may cover in YouTube videos. And what you'll see is that they break down their modules this way, in which they've got an intro, an overview, they're digging into each of these different things. And that's not to say that they haven't already taught this content on their YouTube channel, but having in this sort of organized way is within itself one form of delivering value to your viewers. So in this situation, Our Rich Journey has this course, and then the last thing that they have is this new offering that actually sparked the inspiration for this video, which is they have a 365-day program where they're really trying to build up the community for them and their followers. So you can see here they've got an open enrollment by the end of this year, and if you learn more, what you'll see is that if you were to buy this course, it's gonna be $397. So they're clearly testing the highest form offer that they've had so far, and they're probably gonna continue to test this and iterate on this model and see what works from this particular dry run before they then respin this course or offering and then continue to be able to help more people in their audience in a more personal way. What can you take away from Our Rich Journey's example though? What you can take away is that in the case where you build up your expertise in talking about a particular topic, you can create a variety of offerings that appeal to the different niches of your audience. In this case, we've got the workbook, which appeals to pretty much anybody in their audience because it's a low-cost offering. You've got Moving to Portugal, which is a very niche audience, which relates to a substream of some of their videos around Portugal. And then you've got their investing course, their FIRE course, and then now their new 365-day course. So what this should show you is that diversification, just like what they teach on their channel, is so important, because by having different ways in which people can become paying customers of theirs, they give themselves more and more opportunities to convert. If you watch my video covering how HubSpot uses the same approach when it comes to landing pages, you'll know that this is no different in that HubSpot essentially creates tens of hundreds of landing pages for different offers and opt-ins for people to become leads with HubSpot. Just doing some rough estimates, if we assume from Our Rich Journey's 573,000 subscribers that 0.1% of folks are upgrading into a course, what that would mean is that 573 people have become paying customers of some form. We're gonna take the median product, which is around $150 or $175. I'm gonna do $150 since that's the lower end. And what you would see is that from this alone, having 0.1% of their audience sign up for one of their courses, they've generated at least $86,000 in revenue. And that's the ultimate side hustle because these guys are already retired. And so this is just a new revenue stream to help them continue to fund their retirement. And that number improves as you improve your conversion rate as well. So in the case where you just take, for example, that it's actually 0.5%, so 2,865 people have upgraded for their courses. Again, $150 price point, $429,750 from their course sales alone. Obviously, these numbers are all just speculating from their overall pool, but typically speaking, when you reach the thousands and thousands of followers and things like that, it's not out of question to imagine that you can have these sorts of conversion rates, especially at scale. All it takes is having a loyal and dedicated following, and then actually creating something that leads to a value exchange where you're giving more value than you're actually selling. And that's ultimately what business is about. It's about creating something so valuable that people want to actually buy that product, and in exchange, their life is better as well. In the case where you learned something new in today's video, hit that like button below, subscribe for more content like this, and then check out my video over here where I dug into HubSpot and exactly how they use their landing pages to create so many leads for their business.